Hi everyone, Jack Star Rubin here, and today we're going to look at how to learn and master guitar chords as quickly and efficiently as possible. So what do I mean by master a guitar chord? I mean learning how to be able to put your fingers down exactly where you want them to be to allow for a clean, fully ringing out chord with your fingers all dropping at exactly the same time onto the chord shape. So what happens so often for beginning guitar players is they get into playing chords where they have one finger dropping, then another in relation to each other. So they'll go to a G and they'll get their index finger, then the third finger, or their middle finger, and then their ring finger will all kind of drop. And the problem with this is that when you're playing a song in time to keep the rhythm, you have to be able to change the chords smoothly and quickly, with each finger landing pretty much at the same time in order to keep the beat alive and keep the beat fluid. Otherwise, you end up getting something that sounds like this. Which is not what you're going for. You know, ultimately, to be able to really play the songs you want in a way that's going to sound really good, you really want the chords to come one right after the other. And you get that by learning how to get all your fingers to drop at the exact same time when you play a chord. So one of the biggest issues why that ends up happening for so many beginning guitar players is when they learn chords, they just end up learning the typical way, which is they just put all their fingers in the chord shape and do that over and over again. Put all their fingers in the chord shape and just do that over and over again. And you know, that makes sense on one level, but when you're just starting out playing the guitar, you don't have a lot of neural pathways built up into each individual finger. So you've probably had this familiar experience of your fingers not really doing what you're asking them to do and not going where you want them to go. So when you're trying to get up for a chord, 3 or even 4 fingers going all to a different place in a different spot, it can be a little bit overwhelming for your brain. You've got, you know, one finger coming up here, one finger going over there, one finger going over there. And so what the brain does to try to, you know, compensate and get you doing it as well as possible is it gets into this one at a time thing. And over time, through practicing, you know, thousands and thousands of times, the fingers do more or less learn to drop pretty much all at the same time. That's how I learned when I was very young. But what I found over the years of teaching many different guitar players, it's not really the quickest or most efficient way of learning at all. There's a way much, much quicker that will give you the results that you want of being able to put all the fingers down all at the same time. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is simplify the process of playing guitar chords considerably and then slowly build our way up to allow us to really generate a nice clear pathway for our brain on how to play these chords really well and easily and fluidly. So we're going to do that by just starting with one finger at a time. Rather than going directly into the chord with all the fingers, we're going to do one finger at a time. So let's pick a D chord, for instance, simple D chord. And if you don't know a D chord at home, it involves the index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, the G. Then it has your middle finger being on the 2nd fret of the high E string, the 1st string, and then your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B, the 2nd string. And then you're just playing those 4 strings. We don't have to worry about picking it all right now. And we're just going to start with the index finger. And we're just going to place the tip of the finger on that 2nd fret of the G. And then you're just going to pick it up and relax. Put your hand down and soften through your shoulders. We want to stay nice and relaxed as we're doing this to build up a nice, relaxed way of playing the chord. And then you're going to put your finger back there. Bring it down, relax, put it back. And just do this 4 or 5 times, nice and slowly. Not holding your breath as you do it. And again, staying nice and relaxed. Great. And then after you do that a few times, you're going to switch to your middle finger and you're going to place that on where it goes on the 2nd fret of the high E string. And you're just going to do that a few times, 4 or 5, not holding your breath. Going for the tip of the finger. You just do that a few times. Really letting your brain get clear about where the finger is supposed to be. Good, and now you're going to switch to your ring finger, and we'll put that 3rd fret of the B, and we'll just do that 4 or 5 times. Nice and relaxed. Breath is nice and free. Third fret of the B. One more time. 3rd fret of the B. Great, and you relax. And I mentioned not holding the breath a lot in my videos because when we hold our breath, it really interferes with all sorts of things. So many of us, learn by concentrating really hard, and we end up starting to hold our breath and fix in our muscles. And we really want to avoid that happening as much as possible, because it will cause a lot of problems down the line. It'll interfere with the ability to sing, and it will just create a whole bunch of extra tension that you don't need when you're playing. That'll interfere with all sorts of things. Your speed, your freedom, your tone. So as much as possible, see if you can just not hold your breath whenever you're practicing these things. Stay as relaxed as possible. So good. Now that we've done each individual finger, we're going to do one at a time, meaning that I'll start with my index finger again, and then I'll pick that up, and then we're going to move to the middle finger, and then I'll pick that up, and then I'll do the ring. And then back to the middle finger, relaxing, not holding the breath, and then the index finger. Down, middle finger, down, ring finger, down, middle finger, down, index finger. And take your time as you're doing this. Do it at your own speed, nice and slow, to just allow your brain time to create some really nice, clear pathways. So now, once you have a sense of being able to play the chord with each individual finger pretty cleanly, where it feels pretty easy to do that, then we're ready to move on to the next step, which is the 2-finger iterations of the chord. So rather going right to the 3 fingers of all 3 fingers, we're going to just do the 2-finger iterations. So for this D chord, that will look like the index finger and the middle finger down at the exact same time. So index finger on the 2nd fret of the G, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E. And we'll just do that a couple times. I relax, put those 2 fingers down. And look to put them down as much as possible at the exact same time. And if it's not perfect, that's fine. But just each time you put it down, look to try to get them as much as possible landing at the exact same time. You're not holding your breath. 2 fingers at the same time. Not holding your breath. Both fingers at the same time. And do this 4 or 5 times. Beautiful. And then you're going to switch to the index and the ring finger iteration. So that's the index finger on the 2nd fret of the G and the ring finger 3rd fret of the B. And you're just going to try to get those 2 to land at the same time. Nice and relaxed. If you find yourself really tensing to concentrate, just see if you can soften up a little bit. Hand comes down, hand comes up. Index, ring. Doing your best to land at the exact same time. If you need to slow it down a little bit, feel free to. This is definitely not a race. The slower the better, at least as far as going the speed that feels like your brain can keep up with it. We definitely don't want to overwhelm the brain. We want to give it time in order to figure out what's going on and to create nice, clear neural pathways on how to play this chord. So take your time, don't rush. Index ring. Excellent. And now we're going to do middle ring. So the middle 2nd fret of the E, ring 3rd fret of the B, and those are going to come down at the same time. Relaxing, nice free breath. Relaxing. 2nd and 3rd finger. 2nd and 3rd finger. Great, and once you do that, we're going to do just like we did with the 1 finger at a time, one after the other, we're going to do that with the 2 finger iterations. So we're going to start with index middle, play that, come up, relax. Then we're going to go to index ring, come up, relax, and then we're going to go to middle ring, come up, relax. Index middle, index ring, middle ring. And then you can go backwards if you like. So it would go back to middle, or no, it would go back to index ring, and then back to index middle. And it doesn't really matter what order you do these in, just as long as you go one after the other. Start freeing up the brain a little bit. Index middle, index ring, middle ring. Great, breathing all the while. And you may feel that your brain is really starting to work here. And that's great, that's what we want. We want a nice, good level of not overwhelming but challenging work to really start getting your fingers free to go where you want them to go. So you may, for a couple days just stay at this part of the process where don't move on to the 3 fingers, which we're about to look at. You want to just go to the level where you feel like, oh, this is good work for me. Like it feels like it's a lot where my fingers, are just working out where they need to go, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. So take a day, take a couple of days to just work on that, or if you feel like it's coming really nice and easily for you, then you can move on to the next step here, which is all 3 fingers dropping at the same time. So now that we're ready for all 3 fingers at the same time, we'll just relax and let our hand come up, and as much as possible, let all 3 fingers drop at the same time onto the chord. And come down, relax. All 3 fingers at the same time. And come up, all 3 fingers at the same time. One more time, all 3 fingers at the same time. And you're not grabbing on with any extra tension, embracing, you're trying to let your breath be free as much as possible. And then you can start to let a strum happen, and you can notice if you're muting any of the strings, if any of the strings are buzzing, and just kind of reorganize your fingers a little bit to get a little bit of a crisper tone. But because you've spent the time to really build this up 1 finger at a time, then 2 fingers, then the 3, all your fingers are going to be much freer to go where you want them to go, and you'll be much more set up to get all fingers dropping at the same time. So there you have it. I recommend going through each of the chords that you're learning in this way and slowly working your way up. And you'll notice that even though I say slowly, it really actually is going to be leading you towards what you want as far as being able to master the chords so much quicker than if you just practice by putting your fingers there right from the start. So give this a try, and I think you will notice that it can be an extremely powerful tool for learning your chords. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos on learning how to play the guitar, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And happy strumming to you. I wish you all the best on your musical adventure. Bye-bye.